I live hands with my life. I stay strong, I stay wise. I live hands with my life. I stay strong, I stay wise. I live hands with my life. While we wait.
Thriving Thursday. How are you? I'm R. Patrice Bryant, and I am the host of While We Wait. I'm so glad you're here. I'm also saying hello to the viewers that will come on and do the replay. So I'm glad that you've come if you couldn't make it while we went live. I'm so happy that you are viewing this live stream, whether on Facebook or whether on YouTube. Today is a great day. The sun has been out all day. It's been good to see some sunshine because for whatever reason, light makes you lighter, makes you happier. So anyway, that's right. Come on in. I'm so glad that you are here. So glad you're here. So glad you're here. It's a great day to be alive. It is March 4th. Can you believe it already? Oh, time really is flying. Hi there, Eli. How are you? Glad that you're on today, or wherever you are in the world. Oh, today is an absolutely incredible subject. We are talking about the power of a woman. And I believe that a woman is one of God's greatest creations. He took some time and did the work on us. So, we are one of God's greatest creations. And I have with me today a returning guest and co-host, Miss Michelle Smith Perry, and I love it when she's with me because we vibe so well together. Right before we actually get to that part, I want to talk a little bit about March 6th. There is a wellness and mindfulness virtual group workshop that will be starting. It's an 8-week virtual workshop by Dr. Norja Cunningham. And this is a time, so grateful that we have these tools now that if you are struggling with your thinking, with depression, anxiety, thoughts of suicide, if there's anything that you really need to get to a better place, this will be an absolute wonderful time to be a part of this support group with a medical behavioral health professional. So just pause. We're going to pause to show this clip, and the information is there, and I will also put the information on my While We Wait page once we have completed this live stream. So hold on one sec. Sometimes life happens really fast without permission. So quickly that it's possible to be knocked out of balance emotionally. These feelings can so easily overwhelm you, causing you to feel isolated or fearful of your tomorrow, falling into the tight clutches of hopelessness, even questioning, how will I make it like this? Not fully understanding what's going on. There are thoughts of ending it all, or you're filled with anxiety. But wait, you're not alone. There is hope and there is help. Dr. N.E. Cunningham is offering an 8-week program in the form of a virtual group beginning March 6, 2021. It is a grief and wellness virtual group designed to assist you with being you again. For more information, contact the office of Dr. Cunningham at 203-590-1554. Make that phone call. Your help is on the other side of your reaching out. So you are not alone. There is help. You can reach out to the office of Dr. Norja Cunningham today. The workshops start on this Saturday, March 6th. So you want to register really, really soon. All right. With that said, let's get it popping. I'm going to pull out my girl, Mrs. Michelle Smith Perry. Hey.
Hello. I am so honored and so glad to be back. It tickles me every time you say my maiden name because I kind of forget about it.
That's too funny.
I'm like, oh yeah, I was Smith Perry first. I mean Smith first and then Perry. So anyway, I'm so glad to be here. I know it's going to be an amazing conversation.
Yes,
And I'm
yes.
so excited to get the audience involved and to get our chat on because it's going to be a good one.
Yes, and yes, viewers, please, if you want to chime in, please do. We're having a conversation and we want to engage you and have you talk with us. It's always wonderful when we have a conversation. Um, you know, I'm going to start out by, well, first of all, I want to celebrate women everywhere, and history is as past as yesterday or a minute ago. So I want to celebrate all women. You are amazing. Your aunties, mothers, sisters, friends, the list goes on, godmoms, guardian moms, and we are the anchors of our community, and we're going to get into that. But sometimes, it can be an unsung kind of situation, but I want to celebrate all women today. The mere fact that you have endured and come through your journey. We may never know what your journey is, but I want to definitely celebrate you as a woman. One of God's greatest creations. I would say the best, but I'm just going to say one of the greatest.
We're a little biased in that, but women are so consistent that sometimes that gets undervalued. And when I say consistent, I'm not talking about like your habits. I'm talking about getting up every day and functioning in your life, period. Just being who you are and showing up in life, continuing to walk that journey. And as women, we forget to celebrate ourselves.
This is true.
We need to incorporate the appreciation of the value of just being in our life as females, as women, because we contribute so much.
We do.
So many, which we're going to, I know, unpack, but really celebrate you today. I celebrate Brian. I celebrate you, the listener who is a woman. I celebrate women everywhere. And I also celebrate the women who are no longer on the earth, whose shoulders we are sitting and standing upon because of their trailblazing,
oh, yes,
we are able to have the opportunities we have. So
this is so true. This is so true. And one of the ways that we honor those that have gone on is to really do something with what they have deposited in us. That really is almost a daily focus of mine, because one of the greatest women in my life was my grandmother, and she was an amazing person. So I believe that I honor her life as I continue to evolve and pour into others. So that's really, really important.
I love that aspect of recognizing that we have a responsibility. Sometimes we don't think we matter, or we don't think that what we have to contribute is big enough. But listen, because of the women before you who poured into you, who birthed you out, the fact that you're here means that you had a woman in your life who birthed you here.
Oh, yeah.
You have a responsibility to live a life that is indicative that there's a reason you're here, and there is a reason you're here. And so when we show up and we acknowledge that and appreciate that, it honors the purpose that was given to us. So I love that aspect of that.
I need to back up. I get in go mode, and we're just so comfortable together. Well, guys, forgive me for returning guests. You know who Michelle is, or for those that don't know who Michelle is one of many things, but one of the things that I will highlight on today, or two things. She does have her own podcast, Successful Diligence.
Yep.
And she also is an international #1 book author. I gotta always work to get that straight. And that book is, I see it right behind her.
All the words. It's called The Pebble in My Shoe. Take back
Yes.
your power and live in a better way. Yeah.
And it is an absolutely amazing read. It's an easy read, and it's something that you can relate to. I'm certain of it. So I definitely wanted to pull that out. Forgive me for moving. I get on there and just start running. So thank you, Michelle, again for being here. Taking the time out of your busy schedule, because you are doing a lot right now, a lot of positive things, and I celebrate you for that. It's good stuff.
Shana, thank you for that. I'm really here to serve, and if people want to find out who I am, they'll go to the website, they'll go to the stuff. When people want to know something, Google is there, and we have so much information. We're bombarded with it that if you want to know something, you'll find it. So my goal is really to show up add value, contribute. And if people want to follow up, that's great. If they don't, that's great too. I'm just here to serve and to have a really, really amazing conversation with you, because this topic that you thought of and want to highlight is so needed. And I'm just so excited to really dig into it.
Well, it is National Women's History Month, and we wanted to pull out someone that's very well known, someone I adore, and there she is.
And she's
lady.
A wonderful name and beautiful person.
So yes, that is Mrs. Michelle Obama. Yes, yes, yes. And yes, yes.
All right now.
So I chose to talk about her today as one of our famous people and a very influential person, because I do have her book, but I also went on YouTube to look at different documentaries talking about her, and I'm just so intrigued. Not just because she was a Black woman in the White House, that, that's kind of surface. And of course, we celebrate it because she was the first, so definitely. But there were so many other things that I pulled from her. One of the biggest things that stuck out to me is that she had the ability to be able to stand in her dignity. And she showed that even when you don't agree with someone's views or who they are, or what they've said, she still kept her dignity, and she was still able to embrace them as a person. So, the whole funny story about former President, young President Bush, I'll put it that way, not old man Bush, the young President Bush, their relationship just tickles me, and they really do. They really do like each other. Like, they have a funny and wonderful relationship, according to what I've read and what I've heard. So that really stands out, because we're not always going to agree with everyone with their views, but really just seeing a person as, seeing their humanity. Just because you don't agree with me, with my views, with my whatever it is, my religion, with my decisions, my choices, that shouldn't just. It is a very immature person that can just throw you away. Oh, I don't like them. Well, why? And you know what? This is a crazy part. Many times, people really don't know why they don't like you.
And well, that's a whole nother conversation, because often it's a projection of what's going on inside of you. But I love that point, because I'm not a fan of the Obama's policy and political stances, but I'm such a fan of their personhood and who they are as people. And I love the fact, and I love to celebrate, number one, that Barack Obama is a biracial individual like myself. Holla to the Mixies. And Michelle Obama had a huge role in making her husband who he became, right? When after they got married and became one. She has such poise and such, like you mentioned, dignity and such confidence.
Yes.
That is what struck me when I first started learning about her and hearing about her. And even when she speaks, she's very intentional with her language, her words, what she wants to convey. And she's confident. You can agree, disagree, whatever, but she's going to say what she needs to say, and she's going to stand for what she stands for and what she believes in. You can agree, disagree, and she's still going to meet you in the humanity of who she is and who you are. And that has to be honored. That has to be respected, because that's universal. That's a universal principle and stance. And I love that about her, that she highlights that in everything she does. If you look at her documentaries, her books, her interviews, she is who she is unapologetically. And I honor that so much about her.
And you know what? Even when she's given her truth, she's never offensive. Like, you may become offended, but it doesn't come forth in an offensive way.
That's your issue. She's sending it out with respect. If you take offense to it, that's your issue in the reception and the receiving area of it. So yeah, she always comes with humility, but confident humility, and unapologetic about who and what she is. And that is something that you have to honor, you have to respect it, because it just commands that. And I love that about her.
One of the things she said about her confidence, she said she developed her confidence through the ability to learn. So, just educating herself. Of course, she's, Princeton educated, but she wasn't just talking about her degree alone, but really just educating herself and being able to learn and to accomplish, assisted her with her confidence. And, as a woman, confidence is so, like, you really do have to find that place. Everybody has their insecurities. You overcome them, and some of them, and you still work with the others, and you do the, but confidence is so important. It's so important for us to find our niche, what do I bring to the table?
Well, for me, it comes from a place of self-acceptance. When you can accept yourself, you have confidence, because when you recognize I don't have to be perfect, because there is no perfection. For me, unapologetically unpolished is like my tagline this year. I don't have to be like you, wearing pearls and looking very ladylike, and I don't have to be the red bottom shoe type of woman to still stand in my femininity and be a valid woman. I can be unapologetically myself, accepting me for my uniqueness, and that's where the confidence comes. When you can accept yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself, confidence is a byproduct of that.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. That's another strong point, acceptance. And being able to accept you even when it seems like you're not accepted, So, and this is why I celebrate women so much, because dealing with everything you have to deal with and overcoming those barriers. So it's not that you have not been abandoned or rejected or not accepted or whatever the case may be, but you're able to endure and still be productive in your life.
Yes, you give
keep
birth,
showing up.
Keep showing up. You give birth, and I've never birthed. I did everything but birth and breastfeed. But when you birth a baby, it's not like you get a vacation. You have to then turn around and take care of the baby, and then there's still dishes to be done, and laundry, and the husband if you have one, and all the things. So the fact that you can, in your imperfection and on your journey, still function. Have to be celebrated and honored about yourself. And women do it flawlessly. And sometimes we take it for granted that we do that. And women need to stop and appreciate that, I think, and celebrate that about ourselves. As we keep going, we're no matter what. There's no like, oh, I'm gonna take a break from life. No, we keep it moving. Yeah,
that's challenging. That's gonna be a challenge to take a break from life. That's gonna be challenging. Another thing that I saw from her, she had the power to serve even when she was not the preferred, like everybody, and she was quite aware of it. So that's a strength right there, to know what your purpose is, to know what you're supposed to be doing, how to do it, who you are called to, and you get to a point where, okay, when you know your purpose, it doesn't really matter who likes you. Because you are there to serve. So you do what you do, and you really don't get into the emotion of, I find that with my maturity, it really doesn't matter. Like, okay.
Yeah, well, you said something important. You said even when she wasn't the preferred, right? Because we all want to be liked, we all want to be accepted. That's part of our humanity. Yes. As women, we do seek that affection and that validation from others. That's part of how we're socialized.
True.
And so it's not that it's bad. There's no judgment, bad or good.
It's just judgment.
It is, right? What you do with that is important. And when you know your purpose and you're tuned into that confident part of you, then, like you said, it doesn't matter what other people think, respond. If you know you're exactly where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, doing what you're supposed to do, all the rest doesn't matter. And then you can celebrate yourself, because you can't give what you don't have. So if you celebrate you, then others can join into the party.
I have a quote that she said, "Don't fear, be focused." I thought that was very powerful. What are your thoughts on that?
Don't fear, be focused. I echo, subscribe, yes, check, holla, hands up to it, yes. And I think that it resonates with me because when you are focused, there is no room for fear, because no two things can occupy the same space at the same time. That's scientific, right? And so if you're functioning in focus, then there's no room for fear to get in, even if fear is knocking at the door or looking in the window. So you can wave, "Hey, fear, I know you're there, but I'm focused." And so we're walking forward.
Yeah, and It's interesting. That brings us back, and I mentioned it before on another segment. But even though we can label it something else, but even if you saw A Beautiful Mind,
Yes, I love that movie. I
you
love
know,
it.
at the end, and I just mentioned this, but I'm just thinking, even with fear, fear can be standing right there waiting for you to gravitate to it. But at the end, he had the strength to bypass all of that. So that is a very powerful thing. Like, I know you're here, but I have a purpose. So I'm going to stay focused on that purpose.
And I've now have the confidence and the strength to be able to not engage you or to accept your invitation anymore. And that is a journey that we all get to. And it's something that you, listener, watcher, you can get there too. Again, if you are focused on your intention of being the best version of you, because that's really all you can ascribe to, because can't nobody do you better than you.
How about that?
Then there's no room for all that other stuff to get in. And when we get distracted, which does happen, just remind yourself, and then you get back on track. It's a journey. And what I love about Michelle Obama as well is that when everybody had these expectations of her about what kind of first lady was she going to be, what is she going to do after, she did her own thing. She said, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to do it. And then you had to join her party because she was having a ball doing it.
She did that. And you know what? A big thing that I love about her is she showed us how, like, honestly, I grew up having more financially than she did. And I believe, these generations now have more than we did. We had to go through processes and wait for, some of us had to go through processes and wait for some things, whether they were age appropriate or, but like now, okay, so I'm just guessing, I got the S10. So as soon as the S11 gets out, but growing up now, we didn't come up that way. But even with her coming up on the south side of Chicago, which she's yet proud of, there were some really wonderful things that were deposited into her, even with having little, sharing a room with her brother with, the partition in between, and they threw the sock over it at night, yelling, are you awake? Or, but it just shows you how what you have is not the determining factor of your accomplishments or you being successful. So even the strength that she was able to draw from the deposits that were made by her father and her mother, it's just amazing. So getting that good stuff, and also showing that money is not necessarily wealth. Now we need money. Don't get me wrong, but you can have money and still be poor in your mindset, poor in stewardship, poor in wisdom. But wealth is so much more than the dollar bill. And I have to say, what she opened up for us to see of her growing up and becoming who she is, and it's the book Becoming, full of wealth, full of wisdom, full of riches, and that is something that I saw from her, and I was just like, wow,
Yeah, it's a demonstration of really taking what you're given and doing something meaningful with it and ascribing a higher meaning to it, because you're right, wealth is not money. And money is not wealth. Now, is there an aspect of wealth where financial resources come in? Absolutely, but that's not what wealth really is. And if you dig into the study of wealth, it'll blow your mind. But she definitely has demonstrated for us that it's what you do with what you're given that is what makes the meaning that you then can serve with, because she has a very servant-minded focus.
Yes.
And that's another thing I think that women, it's in our DNA somehow to serve. We want to take care of and nurture and protect our family. And we do that in so many different ways, not just by what we do, but even walking into a room, just the presence of a woman being there changes the atmosphere and has an impact. And
I believe it changes, if I may interject, I believe it changes the atmosphere even more so when they know, when they have that self-acceptance, the confidence, and they know what their purpose is.
Yeah.
Because when you know those things, you don't go in with the insecurities, though you still may have some, but it's not overpowering you, overshadowing you. And for instance, if you're a person of strength, that's what you're going to exude. Somebody's going to feel it and be drawn to you because of that strength or that peace or wisdom, that's going to attract.
Yeah, absolutely. Because who you are is who you are, whether you recognize it or not. I remember when I first went into the church and someone said to me, "You have such an encouraging face." I had never thought about being encouraged, nothing. I was not encouraged myself. But that is a gift that came out of me that I discovered. So
That's
there's
who you are.
there, and thank you. And there's value in us that we have yet to be discovered.
Got to tap into it.
Yeah, and that's what changes the atmosphere, is that gift, that innate value that you're born with. And so it really does a disservice to the world and to others when we don't discover that value and celebrate it for ourselves. And one thing about Michelle Obama is she discovered it, she amplified it, and she used it meaningfully to serve others, which is such an honorable thing to do.
One of the things she said is that she and her brother Craig, they said that they learned to create home wherever they were. So even when they went off to college, or once she got her family, once she got to the White House, she created. So that just shows you that we are atmosphere setters, atmosphere changers. But I thought that was very, very interesting. No matter where you are, create home.
Well, for her, that was her intention, because she brought her mother into the White House and made sure her babies still had to make their beds and do the chores. And so she was very intentional with her focus, knowing that one of her gifts is to make home in every atmosphere she goes to, which I love. So I love you brought that up.
Now, this wasn't Michelle, even though I'm celebrating her, only because I went on to watch some other things, but it still resonated with me. Focus more on, this is from Barack, focus more on what you want to do more than what you want to be. And that was so powerful. Hi there. Hello. Thank you for joining us. That was so powerful, because a lot of times people do want the status, and I'm not saying that's wrong, or you want the title. But the thing is, if you don't qualify, if that's not what you have educated yourself to become, then it's not going to balance out. But focus more on what you want to do. And so I look at it as, and they did that, and Michelle did that. How do I want to serve? Who do I want to serve? And that's a part of your personal mission. That's important. That's something else that we really should develop as women. What is our personal mission, or our personal mission statement? Another thing that former President Obama said was about values. And I was just like, wow, like he was so spot on. Your values is not what you aspire to be. It's where do you spend your time, your money, and your energy. And so even when you look at, okay, well, what do I do in a day? What am I stewarding? How do I steward?
Where am I putting my priorities? Yeah.
It shows you where your values are. And that's very, very important that we know.
Well, it's important that we know what our values are, because your values are what drives your actions and your behaviors. And so if you're wondering why your life looks the way it does, take a step back and say, well, where am I spending my time?
Yeah.
Where is my mind going during the day? Because where your mind goes, your behavior.
Great question.
Goes, right?
Great question.
And even if you just ask those two, you'll discover so much, and you can make changes based on whatever your intention is. But as human beings, we tend to be drawn to value-driven people because we ourselves want to be value-driven. And the way
some of us,
even if your values are maladaptive, I think that some people have ill intentions. There is evil in the world, and some of us don't want to grow up. Some of us don't want to become the best version of ourselves, and that's a choice, and that's fine. But
and I just want to say, I believe some of that is sometimes. And I'm not saying that to be ugly about it, but I'm saying some of it's because it's true. I believe some people don't want to grow up or to better themselves, but I believe some of it also could be that some people have not been exposed to greater. And sometimes you can have greatness around you, and though it's there, for some reason you don't see that the greatness is there. So there's an absence of something, exposed but not exposed. I don't have a word for it. But sometimes you can become so common and familiar with what is great around you until it's not, your focus is off. You don't know that that's really what I need, even though it may not be exactly what I want, or you don't know what you want.
It brings
So,
up a story for me about, and I think this highlights what you're saying.
mhm.
So when I think I was 12 or 13, my grandmother bought me a necklace, and it was a very thin, delicate, very feminine gold chain, and it had 3 diamonds on it. And I'm a rough and tumble type of person. I'm very hard on my shoes. I'm not dainty. I'm more of like a gypsy sort of style, I'm not dainty. I wear like little chains and, rough and tumble stuff. And so when she gave me this gift for my bat mitzvah, because I was 13, I cried because I knew it was from her and special. I did not value what a diamond was, though. I didn't understand the value of a diamond. And so I rejected the necklace. And
Wow.
she returned it because, she wanted to give me something I liked. And she bought me a silver chain bracelet, which was more of like a chain. If you think of like a chain link, it was a silver chain link, which was less valuable, right? Because a diamond is worth much more than a silver bracelet.
Mhm.
I was happier with the lower value item because it fit more of who I was back then, right? Not understanding the value of what she had truly given me.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get the diamond bracelet from her. My diamond came from my husband. So I understand the value of the diamond. I still have that one. But I think out of ignorance sometimes and out of low self-esteem or low self-concept, we reject the value that's around us. And it behooves us to ask ourselves those questions. Am I showing up as the best version of myself? Can I be better? And, if you pray, open my eyes to the value of what's really around me so that I can get everything that belongs to me and give everything that I'm supposed to give.
That's good. That's good. I'm gonna leave the Obamas right now, and I just want to have some conversation around just what are the makings of a powerful woman. I saw a post today by she's an entrepreneur, Tammy artist, hairstylist, hair owner, hair. Okay, get it right, girl. Salon owner. There we go. And I'm paraphrasing that. She said, "Stop waiting for the claps and the accolades." Mm-hmm. And I started laughing. And I told her, I said, you know what? This is such confirmation for one of the things that I wanted to bring out as being a powerful woman. Because really the claps and the accolades, if you're looking for them, they may never come. The flip side of that is there are some people that will flatter you with words and compliments, but they're lying to you. And which takes me to the next place I'd like to go. Just a question or a comment. A powerful woman needs someone in her life that's going to hold her accountable. Who is your support? Who are your real friends, or do you have a real friend? And I'm defining that as someone who will love you enough to tell you the truth about you and not allow you to look like a fool. Because, and especially on social media, have you ever looked at something someone did, whether they changed their hair and I'm just being real, I'm not being facetious, and you see everybody is liking it and loving it, and you're going, oh my God, do you have a real friend?
Who's going to tell you the truth that you just completely messed up with that haircut? Yes.
So, I mean, it is to be a powerful woman. Now, I can go back to Michelle Obama because she was being viewed as an angry Black woman. And she allowed herself to be made over. So, you have to be able to hear from someone. And I'm certain whomever assisted her, it had to be someone that she trusted. Now, I don't think she lost herself in the makeover. I believe she still she held true to who she really was. But she did, even if you look at the pictures, you will see the evolution of, you'll see that. So you really do need, I mean, it takes nothing from you. It doesn't take anything from you to hear and to listen, and then to make some changes that will enhance you.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the truth that I think is for all of us and applies to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not open to feedback, you will never be the best version of yourself, and you will never be useful. If you think about a wild horse, they have to be broken and
Yes.
trained to be useful. And so we might have the raw diamond, but until you go through that refining process,
Mhm.
you're not going to be as valuable as you can be, and as you are in intentional design. And
Mhm.
so the feedback, and you're right, it has to be from someone who's been vetted, who is trustworthy, and
Yes.
earned the right to be able to speak the truth into your life for you to receive it. Now, sometimes you can get messages and people can give you feedback, and when I don't like it, so when my husband told me that I was crazy and
Mhm.
to get my life together back when I was burnt out before I switched careers, I did not like the package of what he said when he said it, and we were newly married. Well, actually,
Mhm.
we had gone through some stuff, and so we were starting over 2.0. And it took me a minute to receive the message because I didn't like how he said it. I didn't like the rawness of the truth that I wasn't necessarily ready for, because I
Okay.
thought I was doing something with my life, being all productive and national consultant and all the titles of all the things. But meanwhile, me, Michelle, the person, was falling apart. And so I didn't like the truth that I had to be confronted with. It's hard to face truth. And it's
Oh my.
hard when you get the message from someone that is not delivering it how you want to receive it. But guess what? Power is when you can stand in the midst of being uncomfortable, not liking it, all the emotions come up, and saying, but is there any truth to that? And if it is true, what can I do with this to be better? And there's power in allowing yourself to receive the feedback and then make a shift and a change. For me,
Yeah.
that's powerful.
No, it is. It absolutely, yeah, because it's not always going to come dainty or gingerly or,
Nice and pretty. Here's the bow,
it's not always coming that way. It
No.
is not, and it may not be good to you, but it will be good for you. And then another thing is, be mindful who is speaking into your life. Like, even when someone gives you a compliment, or it's not always a compliment, because how can you tell me how amazing I am, or how beautiful I am, and you have no, let's just say, the music, you have no fashion sense. Or, okay.
Or you say you're such an amazing person and have so much wisdom. When I check you out, you don't know what you're talking about half the time, and you don't know me. You don't have a relationship with me. How do you know that about me? You don't. You're
It's
just
true.
saying that to flatter because you want to have something nice to say. Or you want
Interesting.
go ahead.
Interesting you said that, because someone inboxed me, I guess, new person inboxed me, and they said, you are very beautiful and loving. And I'm like, how do you know I'm loving? You don't know me.
You know what I've showed you. You know what I've presented online.
Or what are you looking at?
Right. And keep in mind also, speaking about women and confidence, what you see photoshopped online a lot of times is not the reality and the truth. Do not compare yourself. And I mean, comparison in and of itself is destructive, because you are uniquely made. And so you can only do you, and that whole nother conversation. But
True.
I agree so wholeheartedly with you that you need to vet the people that are speaking into your life.
Yeah, you
You need
do.
to have the boundary of allowing someone to even say something. If someone gives me a compliment, I say, oh, thank you.
Right.
Knowing that tomorrow they can come back and say something real hateful and nasty. Either way, I've decided it doesn't matter, because what I think of me, what my God thinks of me, is what's important. And people are, it's like the waves. They come in, they go out. They come in, they go out. But you walk your life journey for you, not for other people, with the mindset of servitude. I think, as women, we are servants. We do influence our atmospheres. We have to be intentional about our energy that we show up with, because we are so powerful, even if we don't recognize it.
So true. So true. So true. There's just, there's just so much. You already tapped into evolving, and
I did want to bring up the nurturing aspect of women, because I think different than men do nurture. So let's put that on the table. But there's a nurturing aspect of womanhood, and it compares to nothing else. I think it's a gift that God gave us, which is why we birth the child, right? Because we have that special nurturing part of us. And even if you haven't birthed a child, or if you have no kids, you still have that nurturing aspect to you as a woman. And it's important to utilize that with care,
Mhm.
and to give it to yourself and nurture yourself. And then also be careful about who you give that to, because not everybody has earned it from you. And I think as women, we so freely give a lot of times,
Yeah,
that which we don't recognize is so valuable. So I think giving it to yourself first is always a good, foundation. And then be very mindful about who you're giving your nurturing to.
absolutely. And sometimes we do give too much too soon,
Yeah.
because we're not supposed to cast our pearls, so to the swine. So we should be mindful.
Because then
Absolutely.
pigs will eat everything that's put before them.
Man, listen. And just, we're going to wrap up soon. I think that talking about forgiveness is so major. And I believe forgiveness is definitely a capital P in the power of a woman. Because, we mentioned that no one knows your journey. You may have told them some things, but, we're not going to know the full journey. But one of the best things that we can do for ourselves, one of the most powerful things that a person can do, is to forgive.
Yeah.
There's a power and a strength that comes along with it. And I know you've heard it before, the benefit really is for you. And I have to say that I've had to go through a process. Forgiveness is not always just, I forgive you. I may say it, but it is certainly a process. And it can be a very difficult and challenging one depending on what happened. I had to walk through, and I believe I still have some parts of it that I need to get through, but a big chunk of it, I am on the other side of it. So I believe that one of the elements to becoming a powerful woman, or knowing what the power of a woman is to be able to forgive, to be able to go on and not become bitter, not to become hateful and abrasive. And, I do believe there are a lot of wonderful women, and the reason why they are like they are is because they have not healed from the past. And life is life. I'm not even saying put the blame, even though somebody could be the blame, but really finding a way to overcome so that it does not hurt your future. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live the pains that I've experienced make me who I'm not. So that forgiveness is a big portion of knowing the power of a woman, or knowing what my power is as a woman.
Yeah, you have to forgive to tap into your power. I would encourage your listeners and watchers to go listen to your episode with Lisa Zaratny on the Powerfully Productive Living. Oh, you'll put the link in there.
Self-forgiveness, and resilience.
Absolutely, because you're right. In order to tap into the power of who you are, you have to forgive yourself and others. And it doesn't have to be a big trauma that you had. It could be just the rude cashier at the grocery store. And some people take that and run with it and get a root of bitterness. No, okay, let them be human, and let it free yourself.
Yeah, there's nothing. I always say it, and I said it on the podcast. There's nothing like having that peace and that freedom of you liking you, and you being whole as a person, and not harboring all of the pains and being, it can make you sick. And I've seen it. I know there's one woman that was so bitter about things in life that as she aged, like her whole face was just kind of almost twisted. She was so bitter. It can really affect you physically. Her skin, kind of like hardened, just not a pretty thing. So that's why I said, one of there's a lot of benefits in being able to forgive. And, as I think about it, I'm going to write more about the forgiveness piece, because you really have to look at it like, why don't I want to let it go? Like, it's just something about me,
How is it serving me? What purpose is it serving in my life that I'm holding on to it? Because we hold on to things for a reason. And sometimes it's because we're comfortable. Sometimes we're afraid of what will happen if we let it go, because that's all we know.
Yeah.
So exploring why am I holding it? What purpose is it serving in my life?
Sure.
Is a helpful answer to explore. And I love that. Yeah. I know we're
Yeah.
coming to our time, but it's been such a great, being a woman, I think you could have a whole season, a whole year of conversations
Oh,
about
you
it.
definitely can. You
But
definitely
I
can.
think we brought up a lot of great points, and I'm really interested in learning about the comments, from people. What's your one takeaway that you've had from this conversation that's benefited you, or what's something you thought of in regards to the power of a woman? Would love to read your thoughts after we end, because I always go back and read the comments, because I just think that the audience participation is so valuable and meaningful, because really that's why we're here. We're here to have a conversation with you.
Absolutely.
It's sort of, for me, I can't see the comments right now, but I know they're there. So I'm like, oh, I wonder what people are saying. And so I would love for you to put a takeaway. What's one takeaway from the conversation that really resonated with you?
Even as we're wrapping up, we had a few notes, and I just see a few things that I believe is really, really important. And I'm concluding and summarizing this all with celebrating women. I believe that the power of a woman and the power that women get, you have a power when you have faced hell, you've dealt with it, and then you return back to places. Let me read it like I put it. The power comes from facing hell, dealing with it, and returning back from the place, and still being able to be gentle, still being able to be kind and loving. So not just functioning, but you're truly in a place that you can give the pureness of who you are. Also knowing what your contribution is to humanity and to the next generation. I believe that is really huge. And the more I mature, the more I'm looking at what is my contribution? What will I leave on the earth? What's going to make someone better? And I think sometimes we don't think that you said it, that we're not enough, or we haven't given enough, or we don't matter. And we really do, because if there's one person, I can say this, I know my grandmother assisted a lot of people, but if she didn't assist anybody else in their life, I'm one person that she has poured gold into. So you really can make a difference. One person, definitely, it can make a huge difference, because now my responsibility is, now who will I pour into? And that's really, I spend a lot of time thinking about that. I teach music, and I'm teaching young people, and I'm not just teaching them music. There are principles that I'm making certain, and I know, and I'm teaching it in a way that one day they'll say, Miss Bryant said. So one of the things is when they say to me, oh, it's hard. And I'm like, no, it's never hard. It's different. And once you get it, you've got it. Because if you can take that one principle and apply it somewhere else, and if they can apply it somewhere else in their life, they'll overcome anything. Or the way they approach something that seems challenging. I remember someone said, people always say, oh, math is hard. Somehow math is hard got in my head. And I just happened to get, I went to summer school because my best friend at the time went to summer school, and, that's who I hung out with. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go to summer school too. So I was like, you know what? I took algebra and I took English, and I don't think I needed either of them. But anyway, the teacher that I got was a special ed teacher, and the way he broke it down, it just made me say, you know what? I listened to other people say that math was hard. So that was in my head. That was already a barrier that had been placed. So that's why I want to be able to teach principles, even though we're learning music, but they'll go through life saying, okay, this is not hard. This is just different. Once I get it, I got it. So
exactly, you're leaving a legacy of reframing and the power of language, because it's not hard. It's a challenge. It's something different. It's new. So you can reframe it to be exciting. And when you spoke about your grandmother, she is impacting through you. And so when we think about, well, I don't really have an impact, I don't really know. If you touch one person, you don't know how many lives that person will touch. It's like that dropping a pebble in a body of water that's still, and the ripples go out and out and out and larger. That's you. You're the pebble and creating all those ripples. So you do matter. You do influence your atmosphere. Your womanhood matters if you're a woman, and you have something to offer and a gift to disperse to the world. And so I encourage you to stay on the journey and show up, Keep
Yes.
walking and always
Yes.
be grateful. That's always how I love to end whatever space I'm in. Keep walking, show up, and be grateful. It is such an honor to always converse on this platform. Y'all keep showing up because this is just the beginning.
And I just want to add, and it's funny because you said keep showing up, and you always say that. I celebrate women. I celebrate your journey. I celebrate what you represent, what you represent in your community, in your family. I celebrate you showing up every day, as Michelle said, and keep living, keep moving on, keep evolving, keep enhancing yourself, keep shining. And that's what I want to say to women everywhere. And we're going to come back next week and do it again with some local heroes. I know we talked about Michelle Obama, who is she's internationally known. People love her everywhere. But there are some people right close to us that are shining. And I just want to put some light. I want to highlight those that are already shining, but sometimes not mentioned. I want to say, we see you. And it's funny because that's a term that I use when people are doing the most, but I'm saying this in a good way now. I see your shine. People see your shine and continue to do great things because it's going to make a difference in the long run. And you know what? I believe I'm at a point where, of course, if the whole world's not calling my name, I'm okay with it because I want to represent as a woman in a way that is very beneficial. And if it's for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, that means they will have a greater reach than I do. And then the next generation will do the same thing. So keep shining. My mantra is be strong, be wise, keep enhancing your life while we wait because life is worth living. So I hope that you'll show back up next week at 4:30, where we will highlight some women still in honor of National Women's History Month, but some local people who are doing great work in the community. So we'll see you next time. Keep smiling and keep doing what you do. Michelle, thank you so very much. I love that you're here. To the viewers, thank you for those that have returned. I love you being here with me. Keep coming. We're ever evolving, and it gets gooder than this, as some of them say. It gets better and gets gooder. I know it's not good English, but
it's still good.
It's still good, right? It's still good. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Until next time.
I stay wise. I live in